Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Lineup. We're very excited to share this episode with you because it's a powerful one. Our guest today is none other than Kirra Pinkerton, an incredibly talented surfer and someone whose story is both inspiring and eye-opening. In this episode, Kirra shares her journey, including some moments that were difficult to talk about, times when she felt mistreated and wronged by people in her life. As a podcast, our goal has always been to provide a platform for our guests to tell their truth, in their own words, with honesty and authenticity. That's what Beyond the Lineup is all about, real conversations with real people aimed at inspiring you. That being said, we also believe in handling sensitive topics with care. While we're staying true to Kira's story, we made the decision to bleep out the names of those involved. This isn't about hiding anything, it's about respecting privacy and ensuring our platform remains a space for fair and honest storytelling, not sensationalism. At its core, this episode is about Kira's resilience and her voice. It's raw, it's real, and it's something we think you'll find meaningful. We're very proud of this conversation, and we hope it resonates with you as much as it did with us. Thank you for listening, and let's get started.
Nothing.
All right. Welcome to episode 4 of Beyond the Lineup. Today we have a very special guest joining us. She's one of the most talented female pro surfers of this era and arguably one of the most fearless and hardest charging athletes in the sport. You may know her as the 2018 WSL World Junior Champion and the 2021 ISA World Champion, where she secured the gold medal and helped Team USA clinch the coveted third spot for the 2024 Olympic Games. Fresh off a massive win at the Supergirl Pro in Jacksonville this past weekend, she now sits at a remarkable 1,000 points ahead of the entire field, leading the North America QS rankings by a significant margin. At just 22 years old, her accomplishments are nothing short of extraordinary, and the list continues to grow. Beyond her accolades, she's an incredibly talented and down-to-earth individual, and I'm really lucky to call her a close friend. Please join me in welcoming Kirra Pinkerton to the show.
Hello.
Welcome, Kira. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
No
Kirra, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. You just came off a massive victory in Florida. How are you feeling?
Florida was fun. Came from Puerto Rico and honestly didn't want to do any of the QSs after the Challenger series. Was just like so exhausted and had contest after contest, had just lost, didn't qualify for the Challengers or the CT, and I was just kind of like over everything and just wanted to like reset for next year. But then got to Puerto Rico, was pretty sick place, like never been there before, and like I don't know the last time I went somewhere where I haven't already been before, so it was cool to like experience something new. And then I got super sick and was throwing up. So I was like, oh, great, like, probably won't get a great result here, whatever. Went to Florida and kind of stayed in a house full of people I never expect myself to stay in a house with. It was pretty funny. Like, just 6 girls in a house. You never know how that goes. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's just kind of...
Who was that with?
I was in a room with Kiana Miller. She's one of my good friends, so I didn't have to worry about her. And then Ellie Brown and Nora Leota in another room. And then Zoe Benedetto and Malia Lima in the other room.
Wow.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's quite the crew of girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you feeling after that victory? Dropping the first 10 of that event and actually in Supergirl Pro history. And I know you've been doing that contest for, I think, about, right, like 10 years now or
Yeah.
something crazy like that. So yeah, how does it feel to finally take the win? And what did it take going into that contest and leading up to that?
Yeah, I was super stoked to take the win. I'm not gonna lie, I'd never expected myself to get a 10 in a contest in Florida, especially because you see girls doing like air reverses before the contest and you're like, oh shoot, like I don't know how to do an air. So I'm like, okay, like whatever, just stick to your guns was like kind of my thought the whole contest. Like, yeah, these girls can pull out little airs here and there and like get through a heat, but like if you just stick to like what you know and do the basics, like sometimes that's all it takes to get through a heat, and it's more simple than we tend to make it in our head. So I was trying to make everything super simple, keep a routine like every day, not like overexert my energy. And then actually, it was like a special event because I got to hang out with like a bunch of like next generation girls with the rising tides. They were like ranging from like 9 to like 14 years old. And so we went and surfed with them, and then in the afternoon I went to dinner with all of them, and it was like, I don't know, like
Wow.
eye-opening to like what it used to be like.
Yeah, did it remind you of like when you were a Grom and you were looking forward to being in those contests? I mean, I know you got to compete in the Supergirl starting at a pretty young age, but
Yeah, so I started doing the Supergirl at 11 years old.
wow.
It was my first QS. I actually made a few heats, and like instantly everyone, I swear, hated me. But it might have just been in my head, but I swear everyone like hated the Grom, like coming in and just taking people down.
Yeah, the 11-year-old beating like the 22-year-old, I'm sure they weren't too stoked about that,
yeah,
but you were ripping so
about
hard.
it now. I'm like, oh god, like.
At what point in your life do you think that you like finally like knew and believed in yourself that you were gonna win that contest? Just for doing it for 10 years.
I think when I was like a Grom, I had like I'd say from like 13 to 16, I just thought I could win everything. Like, I didn't have a doubt in my mind. And then around 17 to like 20, I had not a clue in the world of what I wanted in life. Like, at all. Like, I literally was just so backwards. I was like not even sure if I wanted to surf. I kind of felt like the whole surfing thing was like not my thing, like, because it was kind of brought up on me my whole life. So I wanted to like try other things out. So I guess winning that contest was just not expected until this year, probably. Like,
wow.
To be honest, like I just totally gave up on myself.
Yeah, and I feel like this year your confidence is back. And I just wanted to know, like, I mean, me personally, like, I feel like competing when you start at such a young age and you've been doing it, like, for me, I've been competing since I was, like, 9, and I think you've been competing since, like, even younger than that. Like, how do you keep the momentum going and keep going through, like, hard times? Especially because I feel like competing could just get, like, honestly exhausting, and you can lose motivation after doing it for so long.
I'd say don't be afraid to step away from competing and come back, because it's never going anywhere. And I feel like if COVID didn't happen, honestly, it was the biggest blessing in my life, because I got to step away and actually, like, surf for what it was for, like, for fun and, like, exploring new waves and, like, traveling with friends. And, like, I spent 8 months in Indonesia, traveled, like, all over, and then went back to contests, and I hated it at first, because, I mean, who wants to be judged by someone else? Like, that actually is, like, kind of the stupidest thing in the world, that we put ourselves through it. But, yeah, we let other people dictate our worth a little bit, which is kind of gnarly as, like, a individual athlete. Like, a lot of people have to deal with that, and, like, it's draining unless you look at it differently, which is what I had to do, is just look at it all differently. Not let it actually dictate my worth, and take it as, like, you make your own goals within the contest. Doesn't have to be you win the contest, but maybe, like, oh, I want to keep a level mindset the day before, or just make little goals that actually you can achieve, but make them, like, just a little bit harder each time.
Yeah, that's such incredible advice. And yeah, I remember that trip that you took to Indonesia. You got some crazy barrels out there. Like, I think, like, honestly, that was the most barreled I've seen any woman get. Like, that, some of the waves you were taking off on were, like, I don't even know how big they were, but, like, way over triple overhead. Did you consider ever, like, taking the free surfing path, like, once you were out there and, like, free surfing for so long? I mean, I feel like you got so comfortable in those bigger waves, and you just seem like so at peace out there.
Yeah, I honestly wish I was just a free surfer, like, if I'm being 1000% honest, because that's, like, I think what everyone wants to do. But I think the contest keeps me structured, and I'm not a very structured person. So I think the contests are good for me. But I definitely want to be more of a free surfer. Like, I love watching Torrin Martin and, like, Mikey Febb, and they travel to all these insane waves, trying different boards, making edits, like, giving people this different perspective, and I just would rather do that, but I have, like, this mind block where I, like, don't think I can actually do it for some reason. So I, like, have this idea in my head I need to make tour to do it.
I also feel like in a way also there's not as many opportunities right now for women in free surfing. Like, I think, like, there's that one girl from Australia on Billabong. I'm blanking on her name right now, but
Jaleesa Vincent.
Yeah, Jaleesa Vincent. She just came out with that edit. It was super sick, like the surf musical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there aren't that many like female free surfers out there, and there aren't really that many opportunities for that at the moment.
Why do you think that is?
If I'm being honest, I don't know, but I cannot, like, I don't know, I can't pinpoint anything with that, because there's girls I think should be free surfers, and I think there's girls who are like it's just different than the men's, honestly. Like, women's surfing is completely different. Yeah. So you can't really compare it, I feel like. But I do think, like, Katie was, like, the big shift of, like, I feel like every girl surfed the same. Except for, like, Steph had, like, a bit better of a style, but it was still pretty contest structured. Whereas Katie came out and was, like, doing things that you didn't need to do in a contest and was still winning contests. So I think, like, if anything, she's, like, a great example of someone who can be a free surfer and a competitive surfer. But I just feel like most girl surfers are we're structured to be contest surfers, so we don't really have, like, the other aspects.
Super interesting, because, like, I feel like it's really hard to be a free surfer for your life. You know, the only other person that I can think of is, like, Jamie O'Brien and, like, Nathan Florence, and that's because they have their vlogs.
Yeah.
Or Ko Rothman, too, but, like, I can't really think of another girl that is, like, doing that. Maybe Coco Ho.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
I know, you don't really find that. And I'm, like, trying to, like, start one, but then I, like, second guess. I'm like, oh, maybe people don't actually want to watch
No,
this.
you should. You surf so well. And, like, when you were talking about earlier how, like, between 17 and 21, you didn't know what you wanted in life, that blows my mind, because I remember growing up watching you at T Street, like, rip all these heats against all these boys, and, like, every guy was scared to surf against you. My gosh, it was, like, super scary going up against you, because you would probably kick our ass most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I, like, was so lost on, like, what the world wanted. Because, like, okay, this is so weird, but, like, I don't care about looks or, like, how people are gonna perceive me, but I feel like women's surfing is so about how you surf and how you look. The men's, they don't give a crap. Like,
yeah.
Look at Harry Bryant. The guy has the worst haircut in the world, and he's the best surfer. Like, he, like, just, it doesn't matter. Like, if you see a girl like that, though, they're very judged. Like, very judged compared to most girls. Yeah. I mean, compared to, like, men's surfing and stuff. So, I don't know. Like, I guess that time where I was, like, lost between 17 and 21 was, like, kind of because I was like, why do I have to, like, try to fit in with everyone all the time? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, why do I have to be the same way as everyone else? And then I just want to surf, but then I didn't even enjoy surfing. So, I don't know, I was just very lost.
Do you think that had, like, that anything related to your sponsors influence that? Because I remember you were posting about Hurley a lot. I think it was, like, a couple years back. There's a whole thing where they were, like, kind of just completely underrepresenting you, Rachel Presti, and Mahina Maeda, and you were some of the best surfers on the team, and they were just completely, like, not representing you guys, like, whatsoever, and they were posting all these things about, like, models and, like, better, or, like, not, like, people that fit that image that you were talking about, rather than, like, showing the girls that, like, actually rip and that are getting the results.
Yeah. No, I think I loved Hurley when I was first on them. Like, when I was, like, 11 years old, that was my dream sponsor. Like, Carissa Moore, Lakey Peterson, John, like, everyone I ever wanted to be was on that team. And then I got on the team, and it was sick for a few years until there wasn't any trips I was being taken on. One of the reasons was because they can't have girls and guys in the same house, which was, like, whatever. I tried to understand that at first, but then you see other teams doing it, so it doesn't make sense. And then I feel like around 17 years old, they just, like, I don't know, they don't really make the best women's clothes. Like, they don't really make you like, and maybe that's with all companies, but I never felt comfortable in my own body, and I think it was mostly because of their clothes, because now that I'm out of their clothes, dude, I'm like, wow, this is so freeing. But yeah, I think their clothes were terrible. Sorry. And so they made me very insecure, especially the bikinis. And then...
Yeah, and when you're sponsored by them, it's like you have to wear their bikinis to serve. So it's kind of this situation where it's like if it doesn't make you feel comfortable, but you're getting paid and you're sponsored by them, so you need to be wearing their stuff, then it totally, like, I feel like gets in your head.
Yeah, and then, like, another one was me and Rachel Presti went on a boat trip together. We took some pictures for Hurley. And they asked me to send them some stuff, and they never got posted. So that's kind of like, it feels a bit shameful, like, oh, like, you ask for it, and then you just never use it. Kind of makes me think, like, why are you not using them? Like, we're not good enough. You know, like, those things go through your head, and you're like, so weird. And
well, when you're so young, you're doubting the world, and like and all your thoughts around you, you know, because you're still trying to figure everything out. Mm-hmm. Like, you were kind of touching on surfing clothing. Like, I see, like, none of the guys even wear nowadays, like, even wear the surf wear. Like, I think Cole Houseman just got sponsored by, like, not even a surf brand.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's like, where are all the surf brands going? Are surfers just gonna, like, start reaching out to, like, other things to survive?
Yeah, I think, and I could be completely wrong because I have no, like, say in all that, but I believe a long time ago surf brands were influenced by who, like, they made big. So say, for instance, Kelly Slater was with Quiksilver, and everyone who looked up to Kelly Slater wanted to wear Kelly's clothes. So it made everyone want to buy Quiksilver stuff. And then you had Andy Irons with Billabong. Everyone wanted to wear Billabong clothes. So it was like all this money was going into buying and selling clothes, and so they were getting a lot more money as it happened. But then now, I mean, there's like 500,000 good surfers in the world now, so the sponsors are so spread out, and I feel like everyone's kind of doing their own thing rather than looking up to people and wanting to be more like them. I feel like it's about kind of more within, which is better, but also worse for us because we're not getting any money. So
yeah,
you kind of have to go out and get it yourself and, like, brand yourself and be authentic on social media to make it, versus, like, depending on, like, a brand or a team. There's not, like, that team feeling anymore. It all feels so, like, individualistic, where it's like, oh shoot, I'm on my own and I have to figure it out on my own.
No, I feel like sponsors used to look for people, and now people look for sponsors.
Definitely.
But I will say 805 is like I guess when you're with a company that doesn't really see your worth for 10 years and then you switch to a company that does, it's like, whoa, like,
they seem
I do
like
deserve this, you know, like I don't need to be undermined all the time or, like, be compared. Like, they just want to do what I want to do, and they just want to help, which is, like, amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. When did you get on 805, and, like, how did that come about? I know you won their QS 3000 that they were sponsoring, but that was right after you got on their team, which was super epic.
I know, that was the best
Great timing.
Where was that event?
It was in Huntington.
Oh, okay.
So, actually, it's pretty funny. I'd, like, just gotten dropped by Hurley. I was in Australia for the Usher Cup event, and by the way, that's, like, the best event in the entire world.
It looks
like,
so fun.
It's so fun.
You scored away.
It was so sick. But Travis Logie actually called me, and I thought I was in trouble for some reason. I was like, oh my god, what did I do? Because I kind of have a loud mouth sometimes. So I was like, oh god, what did I do? And then he was like, oh, like 805's looking for someone to, like, help out for, like, a, I forget exactly what they called it, but it was like a partnership. They can't really say they're sponsoring, I don't think, because of the age, but they said they wanted to help out for, like, a year. They had certain credentials for it, and they said that the only thing you needed to do was make the Challenger Series. And so then I had, like, this pressure in the back of my head because I'm in Australia. I was supposed to fly home that night, get on in a car and drive to Pismo for a 3000.
Oh my god.
And so I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? Like, I'm just, like, blowing it all away right now, like a sponsor that I could get. And I didn't even have it. I was so far down in the rankings for the QS. So then got home, got really sick because of poor life choices in Australia. And then luckily Barbados came around and I did good there. So I made the Challengers, and then they jumped on, which is pretty cool.
Going back to Hurley, I mean, you were talking about, like, a 10-year-long sponsorship with them. Like, how did things end with them, and how did, like, I know they went corporate, and so how did that, like, affect your relationship with them, and how did things end?
Okay, so over the years I've learned There's no need to get an explanation from anyone because it's probably never going to be what you want to hear. So I've just tried to leave it on good terms with Mr. I'm just going to be nice, but I do think they screwed up big time because now that they've dropped me, I've had the most success I've had since I was 16, so I'm like, I'll take it. But yeah, I'm not angry with them. I honestly think it was a blessing in disguise, but I do think they are kind of ridiculous for dropping me. I don't know why. I just have that feeling. But
it makes no sense because you're literally number one on the QS rankings.
Yeah.
Like, you're having a phenomenal year.
them dropping me was like finally like that last thing giving up on me, so I had to stop letting other people's values of myself be what my actual value was. Like, I had to just kind of take control of who I really was. Like, for instance, I was doing worse and worse every year for 3 years. Couldn't even make it onto the Challenger Series. I was getting wild cards. And then Hurley says they're going to drop me, and all of a sudden I feel like I have nothing. And then I get invited to the Pipe Masters, which was like, oh, okay, sick. Someone still recognizes me, and then I'm off Hurley, and I had to just do everything for myself rather than having this like little background of support or whatever it is that they weren't even giving me.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. And then kind of relating to like supporting yourself, a stab report recently came out like highlighting how expensive it is to travel on the Challenger Series nowadays. And I think it said you have to do like quarters or better just to break even or to like make some kind of money while traveling. So like, how do you support yourself financially, and what are your thoughts on how expensive it's become just to be able to even travel on the Challenger Series?
Okay, so that stab thing came out, and I think it's about true. Like, it's about $45,000, even how cheap you do it, for the whole year. Quarters probably doesn't cut it, if I'm being honest, because I just got a third place and I got $3,500.
Wow. After taxes?
After taxes, yeah.
Wow.
So $3,500 for semis. Did I say quarters on accident? I think it's, but yeah,
Was that in
semifinals.
Puerto Rico?
No, it was the Challenger,
Portugal.
right, in Portugal.
And that's
Yeah.
so expensive going out there.
Yeah, so
Flying from
that
North
was like,
America.
And then you had to go to Brazil after too.
Yeah.
So
So like when I heard, because I thought I was supposed to get like at least $5,000, it would cover like 3 of the events that I did. Because I go pretty cheap. Like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to spend all that money. And I honestly, I don't really drink alcohol anymore because I know how much that costs too. So I'm like,
And you got an alcohol. Yeah, you got your beer sponsor.
So I just
you
get
don't
that
even buy
for free.
it.
So yeah, now I just get my alcohol for free. But yeah, I
Okay.
like totally cut down on everything because actually that article made me go back and count how much I actually spend. I spend around $37,000 a year.
Wow, that's crazy.
Which I didn't even know I had that money. That's pretty cool. So.
And so now, do you have like, how would you say is like your main form of support? Because I know like I was talking to you a couple weeks back, and you're talking about potentially picking up a job as like a travel agent. So yeah, how do you like financially support yourself to keep going through all these contests and to keep pursuing your dreams?
I think, yeah, if you can find sponsors, that's great. I think if you can do the whole TikTok grind and YouTube grind, do it. I personally can't, so yeah, I'm trying to get a job. And I'm trying to stick to something that I would enjoy and actually do on the daily. Yeah, sticking to a job that I would actually like. So becoming a travel agent is like definitely on my list right now for like what I want to do.
I mean, you're great at booking trips, and you've been doing it for years now.
Yeah,
When you're a surfer, you get pretty good at like finding the best deal and booking things last minute. So
Yeah. It's definitely not the cheapest to start up, so I'm like trying to just figure it all out and not like stress myself out because I think the biggest thing with contests is keeping a level mind through it all. Like, you can't have 2 highs of highs or 2 lows of lows because it just screws up the next day. And I feel like as an athlete in surfing, you can't have an off day. I like swear you can never have an off day. It's like if you do, it can get in your head down the line, or maybe that's just me. And I like Kobe Bryant's thing. It's like if you show up to a contest or a thing, anything, and you're nervous, it's probably because you didn't do something beforehand that would lead up to like you feeling 100%
Confident.
comfortable and
Yeah.
confident. Yeah.
Well,
So I try to like keep that level head now, because I used to be all over the place. You know me.
Do you think that impacted your results, being like that all over the place, like when you're like between that 17 to 20 period when you were kind of unsure and unconfident?
Yeah. Definitely was all over the place. I was like having highs of highs before contests where I'm like so happy and so like everything's great, and then all of a sudden it like hits rock bottom. You're just like, why is everything like?
Well, just in
like
general, like
this?
surfing has so many ups and downs. Like you crushed it in Portugal, then you go on a plane to Brazil, and then things don't go your way in Brazil, and then you're right back in Puerto Rico and you get a good result, and then you're on another good result in Florida. Like, how do you handle all those ups and downs with like a level mind? Because that could be emotionally draining.
Yeah, no, it definitely is emotionally draining, and I think just keeping going after so long, like when it stops, it's actually the most draining. Like when you asked me at the beginning if like how I felt about winning the Supergirl, I was super depressed. I'm not gonna lie. Like I got super depressed afterwards. I think because it was all over, and I was like I've barely surfed the last week.
Really? Like after
just,
the come down after winning the event?
Yeah, like I'm like just tired and like everything that I've had to keep perfect for and like stay like training mode and make sure I'm mobilized and like have a good mental space for all the contests, like 4 in a row. Like,
yeah, because you've been non-stop literally since before Portugal.
Yeah.
And so
Supergirl before Portugal.
Yeah, the Supergirl, it's been literally non-stop. Like you haven't been able to catch a break.
Yeah, so now I'm like on this come down part where it's like I'm looking back at everything. I don't have a contest for a while. And it's kind of like hard to get motivation to like want to show up for myself every day. The same as it is for a contest, because you have something to look forward to. So I'm like still trying to like find that balance of like mental space, and I don't know, it's honestly very hard, and it changes every single day, like because our emotions are supposed to be, I don't know, you're supposed to just feel them, I feel like. And I've been told I cry too much, which I let that get to me, and I stopped letting myself cry, which totally screwed myself up. Because
I feel like it's good to cry and to like let yourself feel your emotion, because if you don't let it out and you hold it in, it'll end up it stays in there, and you kind of
so
keep
it ends
trapped.
up catching up to you eventually. So I try to like just let myself feel those emotions, but I try to just do it indoors, because if I let someone get to me like that, it just ends up screwing me up anyways. But I'm all over the place in my head right now, but it's very hard to keep emotionally stable all the time, especially when you're doing it on your own. I will say. I definitely don't give myself enough credit for how much I do, because I do it all by myself.
You do it all by yourself. And I actually wanted to talk about, I remember I saw on your Instagram a post from last year in May when you were traveling alone for the Challenger Series in Australia, and you're talking about how you're feeling super lonely, just like traveling alone and being away from home for so long. So like, what do you do in those situations where you've been gone from home for so long to just like keep going, and to mentally prepare for contests even when you might be feeling lonely or feeling like you miss home?
So let's see. I think traveling in general takes a toll on you, and the worst thing you could hear is when someone goes, "Oh, stop complaining, you live the life everyone wants." But what they don't know is there's times when you don't have any structure. Like, say you go to work 4 days a week, and you have some sort of structure to, like, you have to go. But, like, I don't have to do anything. Like, so I have to force myself to do it. Like, it's all up to myself. So, I get very drained, and being around certain people can get very draining, too. So, a lot of the time I end up being very alone, which I tend to don't mind until it's like, oh my god, I've been alone for like a month, and I'm like, I need my friends, but I don't even know where they are because they're scattered all over the world. So I don't know, it's hard to be alone sometimes, but I do think like those times when I do post that stuff is me asking for help, but in a way it's like I end up wanting to delete it because the next day I feel better. To be honest. I love being alone. I think it's hard, like, being alone a lot, but I do think it's good. And I end up meeting a lot of people. But it gets pretty lonely traveling by yourself a lot.
Yeah, and living out of your suitcase for the majority of the year, like, it definitely, like, when you look at it from the outside, it's like, wow, that's like the dream life. And it still is such a gift, like, obviously being able to travel to all these amazing places, but like, it can get so draining.
Yeah.
Being like living out of like just a suitcase and a board bag for months at a time, and like not knowing where you're gonna stay next, and just figuring things out like on the fly.
Yeah, and I think like traveling alone that much and like going different place month after month after month, like you meet someone, you hang out with them for a month, you become such good friends, and then it's like on to the next, and it's like repeating the same thing over and over again. So it actually gets really old, and I just want like one place of just like, I don't know, friends, family, everything, just like have that comfortability. But then I get to that point and it's like, oh, like I have to leave for another contest, or I don't know, it gets pretty sad. But I mean, I don't mind it anymore. I'm getting used to it.
I feel like a lot of people kind of struggle with that uncertainty, whether they're athletes or not. Like, just the other day, I remember I was like kind of feeling down, and I went to walk out to like the water to watch the sunset, and there was this old lady that like came and sat next to me, and she was talking to her daughter and just said like, I can't believe like we just went and spent all that money at that stupid fancy restaurant. And I was like, and I kind of, it got my attention, so I looked over. She goes, this is like the most beautiful sight in front of me, and like I'm here with my family. Like, it doesn't matter where I am in the world right now, like I'm here with my family, and we're like enjoying this moment together. And I think sometimes so many people get lost just looking forward to that next thing versus like being right there in the moment. Have you ever had any moments where you were just like question surfing and you're like, is this really for me? Or am I just like looking forward to that next thing and like going all over the place? And
yeah, I think like I definitely have thought about it, and it keeps reoccurring, that thought of like, is surfing really for me? Is there something else I should be like doing with my life? I definitely want to like help more people, and like I definitely feel like I have this like drive inside of me to like help more people, whether that be a doctor, a nurse, or just even someone who does something daily to help one person. And I feel like I'm very selfish for living a life where I get to travel and I use surfboards that are terrible for the environment, and I have like all these thoughts of like, do I even want to keep doing this? I feel like I'm not actually doing anything to make a difference in the world. And so that thought alone makes me like wonder if I even want to keep surfing. But then it also brings me to connect with people I may never get to meet in my life. And it connects me with people that possibly could help me have that down the line. Like, I feel like we're so short sometimes with how far out our life actually can go. That song Vienna was the one that got me to think about that, because it's like slow down and stop thinking so far ahead. And so sometimes I feel like it's so easy to do that you forget like what you already have, or yeah, just like I think appreciation is very important, especially when you're traveling like by yourself all the time. Just appreciating the little things, like the fact that I have a good board right now. I could be showing up to a contest with no boards, or
yeah, having a magic board makes such a difference.
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, I think appreciating the little things like is very important. I will say from 17 to 21, I was looking for friends so badly, and like that like sort of like escape the loneliness, that I would go out and party a lot and like hope to like connect with these people, because when they're drunk they're more open, and when I'm drunk I'm more open. But I can't stand drinking now, because I swear it just like ruins it makes people connect on a level they're not even at. And it's like you have this connection with this person because of drinking. Like, if you think about it, like there's not actually friends. You're friends because of drinking.
It's all founded on drinking.
Yeah, and that's like same with my ex-boyfriend. Like, we were founded on drinking, and like drinking. I swear it's like everywhere, and I just get so over it. I'm like, oh my god, it's ruined so many things for me. So I try not to like drink if I want to like actually connect with someone, like, and like make good friends, because I feel like at the end of the day, if all you guys could do is drink together, it kind of ruins it all.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. That's super profound, and I definitely think there's something about meeting someone sober because you're meeting them spiritually at like where you're at like your like real energy is like who you are, because drinking definitely like affects the way that you act and like your energy, and you're just interacting with someone at like a level spiritually that like might not be who you are like when you're sober. So yeah, I 100% agree with that. And that's super, super well said. And then on that note, I kind of wanted to ask you something about like recently, like the WSL announced that they are expanding the tour, and you talk a lot about like mindset and the importance. And I was wondering like how, what have you been thinking about that? Like finally, like the tour, like expanding and seeing more opportunity for women surfing, and how are you going to approach this year with that in mind?
Yeah, I think what they did is like the first good choice WSL has made in a very long time. Like, I'm very proud of them for that. Yeah, I think it was a long time coming, and I think women's surfing is definitely growing a lot faster than men's surfing is right now. There was like that 95 to 2015 where the men's surfing was just like sprouting. And then I feel like now it's like the women's is going through that right now. But yeah, I think this next generation of girls is gonna be insane, actually. Like,
it's crazy. Like Erin Brooks, and like I feel like every single day I find a new girl on Instagram who knows how to do it, like are landing crazy airs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did this girl come from? I feel like they're spawning left and right. It's crazy.
Yeah, in Portugal there was this girl who took me out in the semis. She's 13 years old.
Oh yeah, Tia Zabrowski.
Yeah, she's someone to watch out for. Honestly, I love it because it's making me want to surf a lot better, because I'm like, whoa, I have a lot of catching up to do, because they're coming in with this whole, like, free mindset. I've already been through a bunch, and now I gotta, like, redo it all because I didn't do it right. And that's fine. I know I didn't do it right. I competed too much and didn't focus on my surfing. And they're doing the opposite. They're focusing on their surfing and then competing, which is, like, I think very important. But I think 24 girls is perfect for now, but I think eventually they'll have to open it up more. I've always said 24 girls was like gonna happen, so it was kind of like cliche that it happened. I love it. And then they have the cut still, but at least they moved it out. But
yeah, what were your thoughts on the mid-year cuts and like some of the decisions that WSL has been making recently?
I think the mid-year cut is a bummer, because I think if you make tour, it's like your dream, and then you just get it cut short. It sucks. Like, I could see how that could be so debilitating. Is that the word?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I feel like Alyssa Spencer is like a perfect example of that. Like, she's worked her whole life to qualify for the CT, like put everything into it. She finally qualifies, and you barely have like 4 events to like get, like, you're just trying to get your feet in the wax and get used to it, and you barely even have the time to get used to it before it's like the cut. And Sawyer, even her, like, she needed those events to get things started. She almost didn't make the cut, and it was only because she made the finals at Murray River. But yeah, you need those, like, a few events to at least get your feet in the wax.
And like, I think, like, for instance, Steph Gilmore, the year she won her last world title, like, she barely made the cut, barely made the final 5, and then wins a world title. You know, like, I think the cut kind of cuts you short of maybe 5 events that you could actually do better at. Or, like, maybe your first year on tour, you had, like, some nerves at the beginning, and then you gotta, like, show up for yourself at the end of the year. And that's something I do, is I'm not very good at the beginning of the year, but I'm better at the end of the year.
You show up when it counts.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well, now I gotta. So I think it sucks. But I do think nowadays on tour, you can't show up being on tour being nervous at all. You have to be 1000% ready. And that means if you make tour and you don't know how to pull into a wave at pipe, you're probably screwed, because that's the first event of the year. And, like, you can go and train it all you want the year before, or, like, the month before, but it's very challenging. I was just there last year, nearly died. Had a 3-wave hold down.
What happened? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, that was like the stupidest freaking day ever.
We have it up here, right here. We have pipe right there.
Yeah, right behind us, next to your magic board.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I totally screwed up. I was wearing a helmet earlier that morning. It fell off, went to the beach, because I got so worked. And then I paddled back out, right before they were about to start the contest. And, like, I don't know if you guys have ever paddled out to pipe, but there's, like,
The current, right?
300 people out.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to catch a wave. I'm sorry. Like, I never have gone away there. I've, like, literally paddled out every day, and I never catch a wave. I'm like, oh my god, what am I even doing out here? So then I go down to off the wall and catch closeouts, which is fun. And then, yeah, so you go to train for pipe, can't catch a wave. You have people who are the locals who paddle out there, and they don't let you catch waves just because they're a little bit egotistical and they want to ruin your day a little bit. And so the contest is about to start. The jet ski's yelling at everyone to go in. I'm like at back door trying to catch a wave, and I like missed it. Turn around, and there's a set coming. I'm like, oh, whatever. It's like breaking a bit farther out than me. And so I just like bailed, thinking nothing of it. And the thing pinned me on the bottom. I like felt my leash pulling, and I felt like a small like release.
No.
And it was my board snapping in half. And then I could like hear another wave going over me, and then my leash broke. And then I was like kind of starting to like panic a little bit, because I was like, oh my god, like I've been under for 2 waves now, and I'm still like, I can't get up. Like I'm getting scraped on my elbows and my knees and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, like am I even gonna come up right now? And like I was worried that the jet skis wouldn't see me because they're trying to get people in. And then finally, like, the 3rd wave came, and it kind of pulled me up, and I was, like, all the way down at Ehukai by that point.
Oh, my God.
And I, like, walked up the beach, like, completely devastated. Like, board broken in 2 places, my leash plug was pulled out, leash was snapped. Like, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, my God.
Do you have your helmet on at this point, or you didn't put it back on?
I had it on, yeah. But, yeah, I walked up the beach. I had to surf my heat later that day.
Wow.
And I've never been scared of big waves in my entire life. Like, I literally just don't have that fear factor until that day. And to this day, I still can't get over it. Like, that literally rocked my shit.
So
just, like, rattled you?
Rattled me completely.
Would you say getting your first waves were in that heat at pipe?
Like, yeah, like, real
Like
pipe.
true.
Like, yeah. And I couldn't even, like, read the wave right. Like, it was so hard to tell, like, what waves were good. I, of course, like, chose a heat with, like, Carissa, Betty Lou, and Molly. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, you get to choose your heat?
Yeah, so they had, like, a...
I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, I thought it'd be sick to, like, go out with, like, people who would, like, push you, right?
Yeah.
They're so competitive that they just ruined it. Like, honestly, like, they were overly competitive.
Because it's supposed to be, like, a fun event, right?
Yeah, there's no priority, so I thought, oh, like, gentleman's rule, we're all gonna trade off. Betty Lou and Carissa, like, must hate each other or something, because they're battling for every freaking wave like they were children.
There's
I was
no
like,
priority.
oh my god. Yeah,
Wow.
so I was just hanging out the back with Molly. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm just gonna take off on a wave if I can find one. Like, this
Yeah.
is so crazy.
Well, Carissa Moore is like, what, a 3-time world champion?
Yeah, is she?
I don't.
Is it more?
Or is it 2? Carissa Moore.
3. I think it's 3.
Oh,
Is it
4
3?
or 5? I think it's 3.
I think she's a 5-time.
Okay,
5
let's
times.
go
I think
5.
it's more.
Let's go 5.
We're sorry,
times.
Chris, we're not doing you justice.
No, I think
But-
those 2 last years were yours, by the way. No.
Oh, shit. But yeah, we just
Yeah.
saw, I think I just saw that she retired to have a child.
Mm.
How hard do you think it is for someone with 5 world titles that still has so much, like, juice left in her to, like, step down from the tour?
Yeah, I mean, Kelly Slater still can't do it. The guy is
No.
like...
The guy keeps coming
But
back.
he did take a
still
break.
coming back.
He took a break. Like, Felipe took a break, like you said, kind
He
of stepping
takes
down.
breaks because he's
Yeah.
trying to step away, but he can't. It's like very addicting.
Just keeps sucking you back in.
Yeah, no, I honestly think competitive surfing's very addicting. And I think it, like, gives you this, like, sort of structure that we never really had because all we ever did was surf. So yeah, I think for her, it's probably hard to step away, but I think she had so much pressure on her from things I don't even know, like maybe sponsors, surfing in general, but I think this new step to her life will be difficult at first, just like change is hard for anyone, but I think it's probably going to be the best thing that she's ever
Oh,
experienced.
for sure.
Because I think world titles are amazing, like you worked so hard for it, but I feel like there's nothing like starting a family. Like, honestly, you're
100%.
starting the next generation, you're going to be the one to inspire them, like, they're going to look up to you like gods, so you should do everything you can to, like,
Yeah.
be the best person for
Do
them.
you think you could imagine yourself making that decision down the line one day?
When I'm, like, 35. There's no kids anytime soon. Yeah, one day, though, but not anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely. Everything in time, right?
Yeah.
But I want to go back to that wave at Pipe, and you're talking about how, like, that wave rattled you and like how you'd never really been scared of big waves before. How do you think you're gonna like get over that, or like what have you been doing to like try to work through that and get comfortable in big waves again? Because I remember seeing like again those videos from you when you were in Indo, and you were going on like insanely big waves, just completely like you look so unfazed. And I almost feel like when you're surfing waves that are that big and that gnarly, like you have to have that mindset and that mentality to charge, because if you have like any doubt in your mind, like you're gonna go over the falls, or like you're gonna, you know, so.
Yeah, I think surfing bigger waves, if you have even like the slightest bit of doubt, it can like put you in a really bad situation. You could get injured or something. But yeah, I never had that, and I was so competitive that like if someone was on the beach watching, or if I had a filmer there, I'm here to get the best clip of the day. Like that's what I'm there for. And I like really like, I mean, I paddle out thinking it's like 5 foot and it's like a solid 10 foot. I just like literally have no radar for how big the waves are until I like watch the clip and I'm like, whoa, I'm pretty cool. But yeah, I think getting over it is like experiencing it again and realizing that I did live through it and I didn't panic, which I'm actually very proud of myself. I didn't panic, and I tend to panic a lot. So I've lived through it. I'm allowed to feel scared. And I think just doing it over and over and over again and just hoping for the best outcome is the best way to get through it. Because if you don't try, there's no way you're ever going to know. So I think that's the only way. Like, you have to just try.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I, like, really want to go back to pipe this year and be in the Pipe Masters, but they just decided not to invite me. So.
Damn! That's such a bummer, because I feel like you are one of the hardest charging girls I know, and I, like, sincerely mean that. Like, your clips getting barreled frontside and backside, like, is unparalleled. And honestly, like, when you won the ISA World Games and won that spot in the Olympics, I thought you were gonna get the Olympic spot. Like, I totally thought that, like, when you won that Olympic spot for the team, that they were gonna give it to you, especially because you charge, like, so hard backside. Like, you are so good at getting barreled backside, and that wave is gnarly, and if there's anyone who could surf it, like, I feel like it's you.
Yeah, I wish people could see that more, because I do believe I definitely could have been, like, in that contest. But I will say, like, believing in God or not, I think there is a plan, I swear, by it, because I was, like, about to give up on surfing before that event, and then I won it, like, just out of nowhere,
Wow.
you know, and, like, I always said I can't surf 17 heats in a contest and be like energized by the end, and then I did, and then I didn't think I could win an event that big, and then I did, and like it just like proved something to myself that I can. And so I think that was like another like moment where everything flipped from like not knowing if I even wanted to do it to like, okay, maybe I can, like starting to like stop doubting myself and like actually start pursuing myself. And I think the whole I could have a spot for the Olympics would have been amazing, but they really wanted Moana to be in it, and then they gave it to Katie, and it was just like a whole mess. Like they should have like figured that out a long time ago.
I was so confused.
It was like false hope.
Yeah, I was so confused because I totally thought that you had the spot. So like, did you think when you won that spot for them that you were gonna be the one to get it, or how did it work?
No, so I knew how it worked. Like it was just the third spot, but I thought at least put me in a trial.
Yeah, like some kind of like, you're the one who won that spot for them, like there should be at least some kind of consideration. Yeah.
So, and then when I knew I wasn't gonna get it, but I was just denying it, the second day after I had won it, they had posted some literal black screen on the ISA's Instagram saying, we have decided that the spot is going to go to third place, or it's going to go to whoever we choose. And they had said that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is rigged. Like, I was like, wow. This is so rigged.
So they chose.
They got to choose whoever they wanted.
Got to choose. I feel like they should choose the person who won this. I mean, there's a whole process.
What they should have done to make it the least conflictual was like a trials with the whole internet's favorite person, or at least Stab's favorite person, Moana Jones Wong, me, and then third place of the CT. It would have made perfect sense.
Yeah,
because
wait,
those were, like,
why would Moana Jones Wong be considered? That doesn't even make any sense.
Because Stab posted some article saying that she deserved it, and then I went off on them, so now I have free Stab premium.
Oh my god.
way.
Wait, can you talk to us a little more about that? I actually remember that, like, they said that literally right after you won that extra spot.
Yeah, they, like, made a whole article about who deserves the third Olympic spot, and they, like, barely included my name at the bottom. Like,
Wow.
barely. And so I was like, heck no, like, this is not fair. Like, how could you just, like, put me under the bus like that? Like, just throw it towards someone else, not even consider me after Stab had been, like, so, like, oh my gosh, all your barrels were awesome, like, reposting all of them and, like, acting as if I'd never stepped foot in, like, a wave over 4 foot before.
Yeah.
So it was, like, kind of lame, and so I kind of went off on him. Awkwardly enough, I met the guy who wrote that article about 15 months later. It was pretty funny.
Did you confront him about it?
I, like, silently looked at him and I was like, oh man, I wish I didn't say that just now. Like, but I did get free Stab premium, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
I think your openness on social media and Instagram, honestly, is a major flex, and, like,
I'm not even
something-
open enough. Like, the things I, like, write on my story, and then I'm like, oh, no, I can't do this.
No,
I need to start just posting them all.
You should, because I actually, like, I love how open you are on social media. I
It's
feel like
real,
athletes,
you know?
especially surfers, are not open enough on social media at all, and I feel like we all could use it because there are so many things that go on behind the scenes in the surf world that, like, are messed up or frustrating, and you, like, are not afraid to call people out. Like, and I love that about you, because if you're getting screwed over by someone or if something messed up is happening, like, you're tagging them, you're, like, calling them out, like, you're bringing attention to it, and, like, as you should, because so many frustrating things happen in the surf world. I actually wanted to ask you about something in particular. So I remember seeing a post, it was last year in Brazil, the whole jet ski situation.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I remember, like, you had the Challenger Series event. It was, like, bombing. Waves were literally huge. And you asked the beach marshal, right, if there was jet ski assist, and he said no. And you spent the whole heat paddling, right? And then you found out later that there was jet ski assist. Like, just walk me through that and, like, how you got through that frustration and, like, just, like, being fed information that isn't true, like, especially in a contest. Like, what was your mindset through that? Like, do you think they should have, like, reran the heat? Like...
I knew they wouldn't because it's the WSL, then they don't make mistakes. So, yeah, I was definitely pissed off, and it was at a time where I wouldn't check my phone before my heat, and so I asked the beach marshal, not once, but twice. I asked him twice if there was jet ski assist, and he said no, but he thought I was talking about on the paddle out, that if I got a jet ski on the paddle out.
Yeah, like, no, come on.
Like, this guy is just... Anyways, came in for my heat, and I was, like, devastated in the back of the girls' locker room, just, like, crying my eyes out.
Because that was the last event on the Challenger Series, too, and that, like, determined whether you qualified for the CT or not. Also,
Yeah.
that was a big heat for you.
So, yeah, and it would have also been my best result in a Challengers. But, yeah, I was in the back of the locker room, and my trainer, Marina, comes up to me, and she goes, "Did you not know there was jet ski assist?" And I lost it, because at that point, I had just been bummed out with myself. And then I found out there was jet ski assist. So then I freaked out twice, and then Travis Logie comes over to me telling me there's nothing he can do, and it's happened to him before. I was like, yeah, right. But, yeah, I was so bummed. That was actually when I was told I cried too much.
Really, by
Wow.
who?
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, okay. So then I didn't even want to cry, because I was staying in a house with all of them for the first time. A bunch of other drama happened with that. Let me just say, after that trip, I was put down by so many people because I was honest and open about something that was wrong. I'm not going to bring it up, but I will stick to what I did to this day, because honesty is above all. Like, it doesn't even like, it'll come back and bite you if you're dishonest at some point, I feel like, because what happened during that trip screwed me up.
What happened? Is it something you don't want to talk about?
Someone cheated on someone, and the person asked me if they did, and I told them yes, because they were my good friend.
Yeah.
And it blew up on me. I was the problem, the whole situation and everything, and I was put way down for it.
Wow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had my literal telling me that I'm a messed up person and stuff, like literally degrading me to the core, to where I literally was like, I need to leave San Clemente. I don't belong here anymore.
Well, your integrity will go so much further than, and you don't want to be in those relationships with people that are like lying and cheating. Like, I can't even tell you how many friendships that I have found out friends lying and cheating, and those are the last people that I ever want to be around today. I mean, I have a lot of grace for them and forgiveness. And I'm sure one day we'll make amends. Yeah. But I'm not going to be the one to go out of my way to do it. Because they're living their lives thinking everything's fine, you know?
And
so
I
think
mistake.
You made the right decision.
I made the mistake of getting myself involved. But I wasn't going out of my way to ruin anything. It just happened to be. But I will never put myself down for that because...
You shouldn't.
Like, I can't even believe how much backlash I got for it. But I will say, honesty, accountability, and... just being completely honest with yourself is like so important, and I just noticed so many people can't do it, and it just blows my mind. I'm like, am I doing it wrong? Like, should I start putting myself as low as these other people? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna keep being myself.
Yeah, because in the long run, it always ends up paying off, and it really does show. Like, it shows in the way that you hold yourself. It shows, like, just in the way that you carry yourself through life, through your results, through everything. So I think you made the right decision, and that's so incredibly important to carry that. And I that's something that I honestly value so much about you, and that I honestly am so inspired by, is just your ability to speak truth and to be yourself, and to always maintain that through everything that you do in life. It's so inspiring. And so when you were in that like situation where you were so frustrated with the WSL, like, how was your approach to that? Because I mean, what's so frustrating with the WSL is like, when you're like frustrated with them in a situation, like, you're still competing in their contests, you still like kind of depend on them for contests and things like that. So when things go wrong like that, like, how do you approach it, and how do you like kind of hit the refresh button and restart?
Well, my first initial thought after that was like, I hate WSL. I want to make them pay. Like, they ruined me, so I want to ruin them. Like, honestly, just like purely hatred towards them. But then I realized it's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it, and the only thing I can do is just be even better than last time, you know, and like just maybe taking that extra step just to check my phone and make sure that that's the official call, or just like, I can't change it, I can't go back, so I have to just move on from it, but at least I can learn from it. And yeah, I can't change it, can't control it, so I just gotta let it go.
Yeah, I would say so much of life actually on our end is like us reacting to things, because so much is like out of our control. Like, look at the election that just happened, you know, it's like, am I gonna make that decision to spread more evil and hatred towards other people, or am I gonna like just do my own thing, you know, and keep it in and try and still be that positive person that you're trying to be?
Yeah, I think it's so easy to blame others in like this whole election thing. I didn't vote, I don't care, never have. Oh my gosh, do people hate each other? It is so funny to me.
It's so divided,
like, just,
right?
Like, do they not see the whole big picture of this all? Like, it's literally conquer and divide everyone. Like, they want us to hate each other for a reason, I swear. But that's just my opinion.
It's a pyramid scheme.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was so funny, honestly, because I was just like, I don't know, the last like 3 elections have just been so funny, because you just see like, okay, how I put it, if you like surfing and one person hates surfing, they can't be friends. No, they can be friends. One person wants to vote for one person, the other person wants to vote for another person. They can't be friends. Doesn't make sense to me. So.
No, it doesn't. I feel like if we live in a free country, everyone has like their right to their own personal beliefs, and with that freedom of choice should come like respect, like mutual respect. Like, traveling to so many different countries around the world and seeing like so many different cultures.
We are not free. We're not free here. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I wanted to just like talk about like if there's anyone who's seen the world, I feel like it's you. You've been to so many different countries. So how has that like shaped your perspective on life? Just like experiencing so many different cultures and so many different ways of living, and like living in places like Indonesia, being like super off the grid, I feel like, for like months at a time, and just being that grounded and so like connected to nature, because I feel like you've been on a lot of like trips where you are just like disconnected from everything from like such a long time. How have those experiences shaped you?
Yeah, traveling to all these countries has definitely been a blessing. I've got to see so many different like cultures, just how people go about life, and how different countries have different things that definitely affect the way that people are. Like, Europeans are a certain way because of, in my head, they do certain things that makes them into who they are. And, like, Indonesians, they have, well, I can't say for all Indonesians, but in Bali, the Hindu and Buddhism, they're very, I feel like, karma based, so they definitely want to do good to receive good, which I think is how everyone should be. I just think everyone should do good and you'll receive good, but I feel like not everyone can see that. But yeah, I've definitely been very fortunate to travel around. I definitely think the US is sadly not the greatest country of all time. I think they've ruined our food.
Couldn't agree more on that.
My skin gets screwed.
Wow.
I gained like 5 more pounds eating the same food as I do in the last country. I can't eat dairy here. Can't eat like most of the foods I enjoy everywhere else in the world. So it's definitely like sad coming back here because I do love California. But I've also never felt like I belonged here, and I don't know if that's because of the people in San Clemente just never made me feel welcome, or if I just did it to myself. I'll never know because I can't go back in time. But I can create new connections, so that's like what I can look forward to. But I think from traveling so much, I realized that in the end we're actually all very similar. So no matter how you live, we all definitely have some sort of purpose. You know, like,
Yeah.
we're all living completely different lives, and we all kind of end up in the same place. Like, we go from young to old, like starting families and like creating the next generation and then the next generation. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Like, we're all the same.
Yeah. How many people do you think do like what they're expected to do versus like what they're actually supposed to do in life?
Less than 1% of people. Like, what was your question? Like,
I can rephrase it. How many people do you think care about what other people's opinions of them, and like that and ultimately like dictates what they do in life versus like what they truly believe that they're supposed to do in life?
I mean, I think no one does what they're truly meant to do in life. Like, I feel like we're all domesticated in a way. Like, I think we're all a little domesticated into like what we're supposed to be in a way, and rather than just letting it all unfold. Yeah. Like, we go to school and it's like we have to go to school. It's like, why do we have to go to school? And like, why do we have to do this? So it's like, in ways we're all the same, probably because we're all a little domesticated. But yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know, people, I feel like everyone is way smarter than they think, but it's just not enough people take action. Like, there's not the action being made. Like, it's just a lot of ideas without the action being taken. So a lot of people don't get stuff done that they want to.
It's hard to make that bold move. Like, we were probably talking about doing this podcast and YouTube series for like a month before we actually did it. But the fact that we were able to make our ideas tangible, like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I wish more people would bring their ideas to the table and like make this world a better place.
Yeah. No, I think if you guys had waited more than a month, you could have had more doubts and stuff. You know, like... Yeah. And it's just awesome to just get it done and start it.
Sometimes you just need to start and you just need to, like, pull that trigger, because I feel like you could waste so much time in life, like, doubting yourself and, like, waiting for the perfect moment. And sometimes there is no perfect moment. Yeah. And I actually learned that in my heat in Florida at, like, the last Supergirl Pro. I was in my round of 16 heat, and it was, like, dead low tide. And you know how it was at dead low tide, like, the conditions.
I felt bad because I only had one low tide heat.
Yeah. Yeah, you got so lucky about that.
Yeah.
I was the first heat of the day every single day, so I got it at dead low tide, and it was so jumbly all over the place. Like, there was just no sandbar when it was breaking out there, and I had 6 minutes and I needed like a 3, and on that day it was literally just like a cutback, and I had priority, and I waited the whole time for a perfect wave, and it never came. And obviously in those Florida conditions, when it's like super windy all over the place, storm surf, you just gotta pull the trigger and go.
Yeah.
And so I learned that, like, also I learned that through that heat, but that's a lesson that applies to life. Sometimes, like, you can't wait for the perfect wave or the perfect moment. You just need to take that opportunity and go, you know?
No, literally. I actually don't think there is a perfect moment. We create our own perfect moment.
Yeah. And how do you mentally prepare yourself for heat and like getting ready to get out there? I mean, you're talking about like the importance of like not having any doubts and like having a lot of confidence. Like, do you know before you paddle out for a heat that you're gonna win it? Because I feel like sometimes when I'm getting ready for heats, like, I can almost feel the energy within me of like the confidence to win the heat is there, and like when that confidence isn't there, it's like I lose the heat before I even go in it. So yeah, I just wonder, like, how do you mentally prepare yourself for heats to get yourself in that mindset, and like do you almost like know ahead of time, like kind of like
I think you definitely know going into your heat, like if you know yourself well enough, like if you're gonna make the heat or not, just based off of like how you're feeling. And I think what I've learned since, I say, mid-year last year, I kind of started figuring out, like, I need a routine. So, like, I'll wake up, have a little routine, roll out, and it just kind of gets me into this mindset of, like, okay, I've done something good for myself, so I'm in a positive state already. And then I always do mobility before every heat. Just, like, moving around, I do some specific movements, and it connects my breath with the movement, and it takes me out of my head and into the moment. So I'm like completely out of thoughts. Like, I can't even overthink anything. Because if you overthink, like, you can't listen to those thoughts. Actually, those thoughts don't even matter, but if you let them matter, then they will. So not thinking before heats is very important for me. And then having a game plan, like watching the waves, but not like over analyzing to where you're so specific on what you need to do, because then the ocean probably won't provide it for you. So you need to like have an A, B, and C plan kind of behind it. And then I always say before my heat, it's just like a weird thing, but I'll draw an infinity sign in the sand. It's for there's like an infinite amount of possibilities. So I can't overthink it before I even get there, and I just have to like kind of create my own possibilities.
I love that. And you have an infinity tattoo on your wrist as well, right? Yeah.
And I also say, I don't say this one all the time, but if I'm definitely having doubts before my heat, I'll repeat it over and over and over and over again, so then I can't have other thoughts. But it'll be, I believe in myself, I have faith in the ocean, and I trust in God.
I love that.
Yeah,
wow,
so I say that over and over
that.
and over again.
I actually am a huge believer in affirmations.
Yeah. No,
Me and Lily, I mean, I jumped on them like 3 months ago, and I gotta tell you, it's changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And just the confidence that I get out of it, like, I do some of the QS contests, and I don't think I'm the best surfer out there, but I do think I am, because of the affirmations sometimes when I get in that heat zone, and like, I'll make heats that I shouldn't even make, really, to like a normal person. Yeah. And it's crazy, like, the power of just like thinking positively, starting your day, like, even if you just do like 20 minutes of them, like, it's compounds so crazy. Like, you could probably even touch on that a little bit. You've been doing it, and you're getting like some of the best results.
Yeah, 100%. It works so well. It's crazy. Thank you for introducing that into my life, by the way. We'll like do it together in the car. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's crazy.
She's like, really again? I'm like, trust me.
Oh no, I love it.
That's good.
But yeah, I feel like you've been like, honestly, I feel like for the past couple of years, you are just so, I feel like you're wise beyond your years, and like meant
Sometimes.
but especially when it comes to like approaching your heats and like keeping a level head, like I feel like you're so spiritually grounded, and you're so like good when it comes to like meditation and getting yourself ready before heats. And like, do you have any other like practices that you like to do, whether it's like in your free free time or like journaling or anything else just to like mentally help yourself prepare for contests? It could be like beforehand or in the off season, but
I'd say like in contest season, or like say if I'm going from Portugal to Brazil, so I have 2 events back to back, but they're long waiting periods, so it's like a lot of waiting around, so it's a lot of thinking, and it gives you a lot of time to overthink. But yeah, I'll kind of keep an everyday workout routine, even if it's just like super simple, because it kind of gives me that positive, like, mental space where it's like, okay, I did something good for myself, so I'm in a positive direction. Like before I could even surf a heat.
yeah.
And I think journaling is really important, even if it's just like one word one day. Like it could literally just be anything one day, and then the next day you have everything you want to write down. But yeah, I think even just like structured journaling is like really good. Crosby actually, he gave me a it's called GIFs, I think. It's GIIFTS. It's what you're grateful for, what your intentions are for the day. There's another I. Oh, inventory. What you have faith in, what you trust in, and what you surrender to.
Wow, I love. You've had a lot of wins in your career, like even from like when you're 12 years old. I feel like you won every single WSA. Like I think you have like over 100 wins under your belt. Like given all of those wins and all that experience, if you had to pick one contest, which was your favorite event and why?
I'd say definitely the Supergirl in Jacksonville. One, because I dedicated the event to this little 12, 13-year-old girl that I had met through the Rising Tides, and I think she had just asked me some questions in the free surf that were just like kind of eye-opening. Like I didn't get to respond to them the way I wanted to because I'd never thought about how I influence the next generation. And she had asked me, what do you do when you feel stuck? And like I actually sat there and I think I stared at the sky and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know how to respond to this. But she's like looking up to me as someone who probably knows the answers. And so I like really thought about it and kind of just gave her my best advice, and then I asked her if she wanted to keep surfing with me and like I could help her out a little bit. And so between heats I was running down the beach with her and like surfing with her, giving her some advice. And yeah, like I think the way I saw that I actually have a big influence on the next generation made me even more excited for the future. And like I think that's what pushed me to win the event and like have so much like courage between each heat and stuff, was like I'm not only doing this for myself, but I'm also doing this for the next generation. And yeah, I dedicated my jersey to her, and like I don't know, I just like want to be an inspiration, and I didn't realize that until that event.
That's amazing, and I do believe you are an inspiration for a lot of the younger generation. So what legacy do you want to leave behind for them?
Yeah, I want to be, and I think I've made a lot of very poor decisions in my life, and I've realized that I don't want anyone else to make those same decisions, so I guess I just want to be a better influence on them. Like, for instance, how to get through hard times, like maybe become more of a spokesperson for that, or like maybe if you don't have the money to do it, like where you have to build that courage to get through it all, or maybe like if you have, like for instance, this little girl, she might have had trouble at home, and like I had trouble at home, and so like you just gotta like sort of get past that and like realize like if you want to do this, you do it for yourself, like you're not doing it for anyone else. And like yeah, I guess I just want to be a better influence for them, and like how to get a stable mental mindset, like because I never realized that until I was older, and I always felt like I wanted to look up to someone, and I actually never felt like I had that. I never had anyone I ever looked up to. Like, yeah, they surf good, but...
Do you feel like it's because you had no one to relate to, like, the struggles and the challenges that you were going through?
Yeah, I think maybe that was part of it. I'm still trying to, like, figure it out, but I guess when you look at someone, they seem like they have it all figured out, and that's what social media can do to you. It can make you think, like, everyone has it perfect, and I hate it. I hate that I look at Instagram and I'm like, wow, like, they're having such a great time, and, like, it kind of, like, puts you down. And so, like, I want to, like, help build people up, but also show, like, the rough side of life, you know, like, where you don't want to get up in the morning, but you just make yourself, or like,
Yeah.
you don't want to work out today, we'll just do it. Like, and it sucks sometimes, but almost 9 times out of 10 you're gonna do it and then be like, oh, I'm so much happier I did that than feeling the regret.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like feeling regret of not doing something is worse than actually just doing it.
Wow.
That's what I want to teach.
So well said. And I feel like you already are teaching it, just like through your Instagram. Like, I feel like whether you might realize this, but you are such an inspiration, and you already are inspiring so many people just through like your posts on social media. Like, just yesterday, like, you're posting about how you were working out, and you're like trying to do like I think it's like a V-up or something like that, and you're like, yeah, your L-sit, and you're like, yeah, this is a picture of me frustrated because I can't do my L-sit right, and my stomach's bulging out, and my face is like all pissed off, but this is like real, and this is what's actually happening. Like, you're posting like real things rather than like, I feel like social media nowadays, like you said, it's all people, like, it's so curated. It's like the 100th take. It's like the perfect, like, you know, and I'm like, I think people are over it. I personally am like over it, like always seeing like the perfect like depiction of everything. It's just so unrealistic, and you're showing what's real, and that's why we wanted you on the podcast, because you speak so much truth on your Instagram and just like the way that you walk through life, and it is so inspiring.
Thank you. No, I honestly, I don't see myself as an inspiration. Like, I just personally, like, never really have. And until, like, the Supergirl, like, that totally changed my mind about myself. And I think now that I'm actually doing better for myself and, like, trying to actually do everything good rather than, like, throw myself under the bus or something and, I don't know, change everything about myself.
Kirra Pinkerton, everybody. Kirra.
Trying over here.
Well,
Thank you.
You are such an inspiration, and I'm so excited to see all the things that you go on to accomplish. I feel like you are in such an amazing mindset now, and I feel like your surfing is so incredible, and you are so talented, and I always knew you were going to do big things, and I feel like now that you're in this mindset, like, sky's the limit for you. So I really can't wait to see what you accomplish this upcoming year.
Thank you.
Seriously, Kirra, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your insights and experiences. To our listeners, make sure you follow Kirra's work and keep up with her latest projects. Kirra, where can they find you and follow the rest of your story?
Kirra Pink. My Instagram. Might start a YouTube channel, but no promises.
Definitely should start a YouTube channel. That would be
maybe
epic.
one day. But yeah, follow me on the WSL too.
Awesome.
Hopefully I'll be making some more heat.
Well, we sure hope so too. Stay tuned for our next episode, and thank you for listening.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.